On Christ. So many lies that when we come with the truth, people think that the lies is the truth and that the truth is the lie.
Who changed the truth for God into a lie? In English, Jesus Christ, in Hebrew is Yahweh Shai. So do or die. The immaculate conception is deception, along with the myth of giving gifts on December 25th. Christmas is Satan's clause, the birth of Nimrod, and not the son of God. To you was kind of odd. On the Passover, Christ was born in the spring. So now we bring the truth about the King of Kings. That's Black Jesus and not Caesar Borgias. And the facts can't be changed. It's all about the Most High. It's all about Yahweh Shai. It's all about the Most High. It's all about Yahweh Shai.
Hebrew Israelites. Kwam Yashala.
It's all about the Most High. It's all about Yahweh Shai. It's all about the Most High.
Shalom Israel.
Shalom.
Shalom, shalom. Welcome to another class here with ISBHPK Houston. We are located at 8524 South Brunswick Boulevard, Houston, Texas, zip code 77071. Our class times here in Houston is Mondays and Wednesdays from 7 to 10 p.m., Fridays from 6 to 9 p.m., and Shabbat, Saturday morning class, is from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We got classes out there in Albuquerque, New Mexico as well. The school address for Albuquerque, New Mexico is 7710 Manuel Boulevard, Albuquerque, New Mexico, zip code 87110. We got Priest Mashaba out there doing the Blog Talk Radio. And he does it on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and he broadcasts it live out of Albuquerque, New Mexico. So if you got anybody in the Albuquerque, New Mexico area, you can definitely hit them up. Go ahead and congregate. Get you some good classes in. To link up with the Blog Talk Radio, it's blogtalkradio.com/Mashaba. Again, it's blogtalkradio.com/Mashaba. And like I said, it's Tuesdays and Thursdays starting at 9:30 a.m. We got classes out there in San Antonio, Texas as well. The school address for San Antonio is 4219 Senegate Street, San Antonio, Texas, zip code 78217. And we ask that you like, share, and subscribe to ISBHPK San Antonio channel. They got some good classes up there. We got the cable show that we do out here in Houston as well. It's every Saturday starting at 8 p.m. And it's on Comcast Local Channel 17. Or you can stream it live at hmstv.org. Again, that's Comcast Local Channel 17. Or you can stream it live at hmstv.org. And again, it's on Saturdays and it starts at 8 p.m. If you'd like to get in contact with any of the priests, we got to my left right here, we got Priest Quatzazat Ash. His number is 303. Sorry. His number is 303-557-8979. Again, his number is 303-557-8979. We also got the brother Priest Kazakia. His number is 281-707-2737. Again, his number is 281-707-2737. We ask that you text only during class as well. And Kazakia is out there with Zayanala, Mark, and Mats currently, and also going to be joined with Ariane. They're opening up the Virginia camp. So look out for that. I'd like to give a shout out to those brothers as well, but also look out for the school coming in Virginia. Can't wait for it to open up. Can't wait for it to get rolling. And if you'd like to send any donations, to the schools, whether it's the Houston, San Antonio, Albuquerque, or the Virginia location that'll be coming soon, we got the addresses up, and we got the Wells Fargo account number on the screen, and we got the Google Wallet account number on the screen as well. If you would like to help out with the rent, the bills, anything like that, and most importantly for Virginia starting up, if you would like to send in any books, Bibles, Apocryphas, pens, papers, dictionaries, Josephus's, ram's horn, Torahs, menorahs, anything that'll help get the school up and running so that when brothers and sisters come to class, they'll have, chairs, desks, books, pads, pens, papers, highlighters, Bibles, apocryphas, whatever they might need so that they can grow and do their thing in this truth, in this work. And we got coming up, of course, we got Israel. We're on Facebook. And so if you'd like to place an order for a garment, again, it's Israel Wear at Facebook. And we got the Feast of First Fruits coming up June 7th. There'll be no class that night, and it's at our school starting at 9. Again, June 7th will be the Feast of First Fruits, the Feast of the First Fruits. It'll be on June 7th. There will be no class that night, and it's going to be at our school starting at 9 p.m. So if you'd like to congregate for the Feast of First Fruits, it's June 7th at our school starting at 9 p.m. So yeah, man, look forward to that. Always dope when a feast day is rolling around. With that's the end of the announcements. With that, do we have any questions in class?
Yeah.
Shalom online as well.
I gotta go to Acts real quick. Brother Mustafa hit me up about Acts 11. So while y'all get y'all questions online, we're gonna go over Peter's Peter's vision. The Christians, they love to use this and say, well, see, the Most High said we can eat anything we want, right? So we're gonna kill that noise real quick, get a little understanding. And you know, the beautiful thing about Acts 11 is that to understand Acts 11, you gotta read Acts 10. But his thing was in Acts 11, his question. So we'll go there first and then we'll jump to Acts 10. Read Acts chapter 11 and verse 1.
Acts chapter 11 verse 1. And the apostles and brethren that were in Judea heard that the Gentiles had also received the word of God. And when Peter was come up to Jerusalem, they that were of the circumcision contended with him,
Right.
saying, Thou wentest.
It said they of the who? Who contended with Peter?
They that were of the circumcision contended with him.
Right. So the one thing that the Christians miss is that Peter's vision had no way, shape, or form talking about food. It had nothing to do with food. It was a vision about the Gentiles and the circumcised. The Gentiles are the Israelites in the Gentile state of mind. Okay? So this is what his vision was about. The circumcised and the uncircumcised. The believers, the non-believers. The Gentiles or Israelites in the Gentile state of mind versus the already believing Israelites. Go ahead.
Verse 3, saying, Thou wentest in to men uncircumcised,
Right.
and didst eat with them.
Right, because it wasn't common practice for a man that was a Jew to keep company with a Gentile or with the Gentiles. Go ahead.
But Peter rehearsed the matter from the beginning.
He did what?
Rehearsed the matter from the beginning.
So Peter was giving these men a recollection of what happened in Acts the 10th chapter. So without reading all of this Acts 11, let's jump over to 10 and get the actual story. So let's go to Acts chapter 10, and we are going to start at, we're going to start at verse 9.
Oh yeah.
Acts chapter 10 verse 9.
Uh-huh.
On the morrow, as they went on their journey, and drew nigh unto the city,
Right.
Peter went up upon the housetop to pray about the 6th hour.
Right. Go ahead.
And he became very hungry.
He what?
Became very hungry.
Now, y'all gotta listen to this and read it slow. It said he became hungry. Read.
And would have eaten.
Why would he have eaten? Why would he have eaten? Read. It's gonna tell you.
But while they made ready, he fell into
Wait. Well, they made ready what? See, they were already making food.
Yeah.
They were already making food, lawful food, I might add, because Peter knew what to eat according to the law. So it said what he was hungry. It said he would have eaten, but what happened? Read on.
He fell into a trance.
He fell into a trance, right? Go ahead.
And saw heaven open.
Right, so you got this vision. Read on.
And a certain vessel descended unto him.
Okay, read.
As it had been a great sheet knit at the four corners.
Right, read on.
And let down to the earth, wherein were all manner of four-footed beasts of the earth, and wild beasts, and creeping things.
Right, now, somebody pause there and look up the word allegory. I want y'all to look up the word allegory. Let's define and look up the word allegory. That's now, you know, I was going through this and I was it's funny. I was looking inside the annotated Bible and Apocrypha, and they have a commentary. They give you a commentary. They give you the editor's commentary. This is Cambridge, right? And I was looking through the commentary to see what they were going to say about it. Check this out. It says, it gives you a breakdown of Acts 11:1 through 18. It says Peter's defense. It says the Jerusalem church requires an explanation for the baptism of the Gentiles. So that's what verse 1 through 18 Peter was explaining. Why are the Gentiles, the Hebrews in a Gentile state of mind, why were they not being baptized? Why were they being dealt with? It says up to this point, all believers were circumcised, or they were already believing Jews. Now we know that the Gentiles are who? I keep saying it.
The other nations?
No.
The Gentiles
that it was dealing with here was us. In a Gentile, was the Israelites in a Gentile state of mind. Was Paul a Gentile? Of course he was. Yeah. Paul was a Gentile up until a point. Right? He believed himself to be a Roman. So he was in that Gentile state of mind. That's what it's going into. This ain't talking about the world. This ain't talking about the heathen. This is talking about Gentiles. Israelites in a Gentile state of mind. Just like how millions of our people call themselves American. They're in a Gentile state of mind. So imagine we're Peter and we're Paul, and we're going out to do a job. Paul's job was what? He said that I magnify my office, being an apostle of the Gentiles. He was talking about the Israelites in a Gentile state of mind. Right? Because Romans 9:1 tells us. He said, my brethren according to the flesh, my kinsmen. Right? So we got to put together all these different precepts to understand what they're talking about when it comes to these Gentiles. Go ahead. Let me finish. It says, up until this point, all believers were circumcised. The text says circumcised believers. Where is it at? Where is it at? Let me go over here. Go ahead, read on where you at.
And he became very hungry.
Right.
And would have eaten. But while they made ready, he fell into a trance.
Go ahead.
And saw heaven open, and a certain vessel descended unto him.
Now, who has a definition of allegory? Read it.
Allegory. A story, poem, or picture that can be interpreted to reveal a hidden meaning.
Right. Now, this story, this vision that Peter had was an allegory. Okay? It was a vision that he was having that the meaning was symbolic.
Yes, sir.
Finish up. There's something else in that definition. What else? You know what? I got one here. Hold on. I got one here. Allegory. It says a figurative sentence or discourse. Yeah. So what Peter was seeing was figurative or symbolic of something else. He didn't see literal 4-foot beasts and creeping things and crawling things. What he saw in the vision, these creepy and crawling things were symbolic of Israelites in a Gentile state of mind. Israelites in that beastie, like David said, give me that. When he said I was a beast before thee, without the wisdom, is in Psalms. Psalm 73.
Yeah.
Go to Psalm 73. He'll read it.
Psalms chapter 73.
Uh-huh. Verse 12, I think.
That's 22.
Oh, 22. Go ahead.
Psalms chapter 73, verse 22.
Uh-huh.
So foolish was I,
uh-huh,
and ignorant.
Uh-huh.
I was as a beast before thee.
Right. So now when Peter sees has this vision of all manner of different types of beasts, it's an allegory, right? It's symbolic to something else. The beasts were representation of all these men that didn't have the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding of the Most High, that the Most High was telling Peter, you can deal with them. Remember, why did Peter and Paul have a little contention? When you read in Galatians 2, Paul said I had to withstand Peter to the face.
Yep.
Why? Because they had a little dispute about whether or not to go teach these Gentiles. Peter was like, well, I'm going to go deal with Israel that knows they're Israel. Paul said, I'm going to go deal with the Israelites in a Gentile state of mind. We know that from Acts chapter 19 chapter, right? When it said all these Gentiles, and then it said all these Jews amongst the Gentiles. Somebody give me that one. It's Acts 19. But read on where you at.
Con, as it had been a great sheet knit at the four corners, and let down to the earth.
Go ahead.
Wherein were all manner of 4-footed beasts of the earth, and wild beasts, and creeping things, and fowls of the air. And there came a voice to him, rise, Peter, kill and eat.
Right, now check this out. It said what?
Rise, Peter, kill and eat.
But it said a voice came to him. Now, in every instance, let me ask y'all a question. Was Peter a righteous man?
Con.
Yahweh Shai said, I'm going to build my church. You're going to be the foundation of the church. Right? I'm going to build my foundation upon you. You're going to be the pillar of the church. So, Peter gets a commandment. He gets a command. Rise, Peter, slay and eat. Read on.
Verse 14. But Peter said, not so.
He said what?
Not so.
So he just blatantly disobeyed? Why did Peter blatantly disobey? Was he disobeying out of just sheer rebelliousness? Or was he disobeying out of knowing what the law was? He knew the law. He knew the law wasn't to eat anything unclean. Or even, forget about eating, he knew that he thought in his spirit that he wasn't supposed to deal with that with the Gentiles. Well, and this is how we know, because when you read down, it tells you that he didn't even understand the vision. So how, if he didn't understand the vision, how can Christians tell you like, oh yeah, that was talking about eating pork? If Peter himself didn't understand the vision. Read on. We're going to get there.
Yeah, that's cool.
Read on.
But Peter said, not so, Lord.
Not so who?
Lord.
Right, he said, not so, Lord. Now, we know the power of Yahweh Shai. You obey, man. You disobey. You gonna get that check. Right? But why was Peter so bold? Not so, Lord. And how many times did this happen? Read. No. Yeah.
Can I read one scripture?
Grab a mic.
Just on that, Galatians 1:8.
But
though we or an angel from heaven preach any other gospel unto you than that which you have preached, than that which we have preached unto you.
It said we or a what?
Or an angel from heaven.
Go ahead.
Preach any other gospel unto you then that which we have preached unto you,
right,
let him be accursed.
So even if this was about food, Peter was like, yeah, I'm not eating. I'm not doing that because that's against the commandment. Even if it was about food, he still was like, I'm not doing that.
That's not what I was taught.
That's not what I was taught. That's not the law. Even if you wanted to really believe in your spirit that what Peter was seeing was little pigs, you mean to tell me that all he saw was unclean animals? That the Most High put him in a trance, put him in a vision state, just so that he could see pigs and unclean birds?
And it's like too, like when you're reading when you're just reading the book of Acts, it's like, why would the Most High just throw that in there?
Right.
Especially when you read chapter 9 coming up, because it's chapter 9 and then verse 10. It's speaking on something different, like it's going with the flow of the story. But then it just comes up in that, and it's like, oh yeah, don't.
Right. You mean chapter 10 and verse 9?
Yeah, kind of.
Right, because the whole time it's talking about these Gentile Cornelius, right? I didn't want to go into that. Yeah. Well, Cornelius, an Israelite in a Gentile state of mind. Got it. Right? So the story didn't switch topics. It just went into allegory mode. Where now you have to decipher the code and look at the words and understand that if you have the Hebrew, you know, one thing that the Christians don't have is a Hebrew outlook. They have a Christian outlook. So they're going to think like, oh yeah, Christ came down to make food. All food's lawful. Like if you bless the garbage disposal of the earth, if you just say a prayer over it, it's not going to give you diabetes no more. Like all of a sudden that prayer just cleansed that animal. Come on, man, that don't even make sense. Like if you bless it, it changes the molecular structure. It changes the fact that it did its job, which was to clean the ocean, clean the earth, clean the air. So because you bless the pig, you can eat the boo-boo tunnel, the chitterlings. Come on, man. Because you blessed it, the trichinosis worm is no longer there.
Right. I was gonna say, it's like you don't eat the anal cavity of any other animal, but you eat the pigs. Right? Yeah, well that's because that's by default. That was given to our people by default in slavery. They cooked the pig, they would give us the worst part. I mean, you eating chicken feet, pig ears, snout, hog moss, whatever that is. Pickled pig ears, pickle this, pickle that, pork shoulder. You wasn't getting that in slavery. You was getting chitlins, ears, and feet, and some pigtail soup. You were getting all the worst parts of the animal. The sad part is we just carry that over into this day and then try to justify it. Oh, Christ said to just bless it, we're good. No, he never said that. This was never a vision about food. This is how we know. Read on.
Oh, can I add?
Yeah, what's up?
I don't know if you're going to go here. Ecclesiastes 34.
Where you going?
Ecclesiastes 34 and verse 3.
Yeah, go ahead. It's saying exactly what I was saying. Go ahead.
Ecclesiastes chapter 34 and verse 3. The vision of dreams is the resemblance of one thing to another.
Yeah, because dreams can be an allegory. You know how they try to say if you dream about fish, someone's pregnant? Mm-hmm. Or if you got a sty in your eye, someone's pregnant. If you dream about fish, someone's getting married. They try to say the things about dreams, that dreams have meanings. We know they do.
God.
We know they have meanings, but we're not to get caught up. That's why we're not to get caught up in the meaning of, or in dreams, because we don't know what they mean.
Yes, sir.
We don't know what they mean. Now, in this case, we know what this vision was talking about. All you got to do is read down, jump back to where you left off, Lamar.
God. But Peter said, not so, Lord.
Right.
For I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean.
Go ahead.
And the voice spake unto him again the second time. What the Most High hath cleansed, that call not thou common.
You know what this is? You know, if you really want to get in depth in this, look at the story of Paul. Mm-hmm. When Paul was headed to Damascus and he was blinded, and Yahushua told Ananias to go fetch Paul and heal him.
Right.
Ananias was like, basically, hell no.
Oh, God.
I ain't doing that. That dude's a killer. And the Most High, Yahweh Shai said what? He said, Paul is chosen. He's a chosen vessel unto me. I basically sanctified and cleansed him.
God.
Right? It's the same thing because Paul was in a Gentile state of mind. But Paul was not only in a Gentile state of mind, he was a killer. He was killing Jews. Ananias was like, wait a minute. This dude has the decree from the king to lock me up and persecute Jews.
Right.
Yahweh Shai was like, don't worry about all that. I've chosen and sanctified Paul to myself. Yeah. So when you go back here, he said, what the Most High had cleansed, call not thou common or unclean. Go ahead.
Verse 16. This was done thrice. And the
how many times?
Thrice.
See, this was done 3 times. Why did Peter have to be persuaded so much if it was just about food? Read.
And the vessel was received up again into heaven.
Right.
Now, while Peter doubted in himself what this vision which he had seen.
He did what?
Doubted in his...
Wait, he knew that he had to go eat pork.
Doubted in himself.
He immediately got off the rooftop and butterflied some shrimp.
Doubted in himself.
See, he doubted what the dream was. So how do y'all know, you Christians, how can if Peter doubted, how can you come back and be like, see? It was food. It's all clean. Peter even doubted. He didn't even have the full understanding at the time. Read on.
Now while Peter doubted in himself what this vision which he had seen should mean, behold, the men which were sent from Cornelius had made inquiry.
Right, so immediately he comes out of the dream state. He comes out of the trance that the Most High put him in. And who sent to him? 3 men from Cornelius, a Gentile, right? Of the Italian band. He was an Israelite in a Gentile state of mind. Now, the Italian band, people are like, well, that's the Italians. Well, when you do your history, some of the first Italians were Negroid. When you do your history, there's many books on it. And we know that there were Israelites that were part of the Roman Empire, Roman armies. Because were there not Israelites living in Rome? Right, that's what you have. You have your Hellenists, right?
Yes, sir.
Your Hellenist Jews, Greek-speaking Jews. They were Greek-speaking Jews, Hellenists. This man, Cornelius, just happened to be a part of the Italian band. He was part of the brigade. So he sent his men. So you see how the dream or how the story is not changing. Now it's jumping out of allegory into just direct story. There's no longer no allegory here. Peter didn't get the dream. The Most High was like, okay, I'm going to show you. Here goes these 3 men. Right? Go ahead.
From Cornelius had made inquiry for Simon's house.
Right.
And stood before the gate and called and asked whether Simon, which was surnamed Peter.
Right. So this is Simon Peter. Same Peter that rode with Christ. Can't forget that. Now, hold that real quick. Go to Matthew 5:17. Who was the first apostle that Yahweh Shai called? Was it not Peter? It was Peter. He was the first one. And he said, upon you I will build my church. Now, read Matthew 5:17. Read it, Jermaine. Go back to Acts.
Matthew 5:17.
Read it.
Think not that I am come to destroy the law.
Right. Now, when you look at Matthew's the 5th chapter, let me get there real quick. Show y'all something. Matthew's 5. Now, when you look at Matthew's 5 in verse 3, all the way to basically Matthew's 8, that was Yahweh Shai speaking the whole way through. He was just teaching. Man. He was, what was it, the Sermon on the Mount? I believe this was the Sermon on the Mount. Where he was just dropping wisdom this whole time in front of a multitude of people, including the apostles. So Matthew 5:17, that's where he's going into the Old Testament law, right? He started there. He was like, think not that I've come to destroy the law. Why? You know why he had to say that? Because what he was going to drop after, if you didn't understand what Yahushua came to do, you would think like, wait a minute, he's trying to erase what the law says. But no, he was just trying to get edification on what led up to murder, what led up to adultery. So he had to say, read it again.
Matthew 5, verse 17.
Think
not that I am come to destroy the law.
Right.
Or the prophets.
Right. I'm not come to destroy the law or the prophets. That's not what I came. Go ahead.
I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill.
Right. I didn't come to destroy the law, but I came to fulfill. I came to give you understanding of the law.
Yes, sir.
Hold that real quick. Go to. Wait a minute. Go to. Go to Luke chapter 24 and 44. Luke 24 and verse 44. So when Yahushua was like, you have heard of old times, thou shalt not commit adultery. Right? This is what he was trying to show them. Read Luke 24 and verse 44.
Luke chapter 24, verse 44.
Go ahead.
And he said unto them,
read.
These are the words which I spake unto you.
Right.
While I was yet with you.
Come on.
That all things must be fulfilled.
Read.
Which we were written in the law of Moses.
Which were what?
Which were written in the law of Moses.
What words did he speak unto them?
Which were written in the law of Moses.
So he said, think not that I've come to destroy the law or the prophets. Then he comes back in Luke and says, listen, I spoke the words of Moses to you. Read.
And in the prophets, and in the poem.
In the prophets and where?
And in the psalm.
And in the what?
Psalm.
Christ did what?
In the psalm.
Christ was reading Psalms. He was reading the book of Isaiah. Right? Ezekiel. It tells you, they brought him the book of Isaiah. He read it in the synagogue on the Sabbath day. So he said, I came to break down and read Psalms, the prophets, the law of Moses. Read verse 45.
Then open he their understanding.
Wait, what did Yahushua come to do?
Open he their understanding.
Erase the law.
Open he their understanding.
He came to make you be able to eat pork.
Open he their understanding.
Read on.
That they might understand these scriptures.
Right, because that's what Yahushua came to do. When you read in Matthew 5:17 down, he was giving them the understanding of the law because we didn't have it. He was giving them the understanding that this is how you even lead up to killing your brother because you hate him. This is how you lead up to adultery because you're staring at some chick's butt and daydreaming about it. So don't do those things and then you won't commit adultery. Don't hate your brother in your heart and you won't commit murder. He didn't come and pull the law out of the picture. So now when we jump over to Peter, right? Peter understood the law. He rode with Yahushua 3 years. There was no time when it was just breaking bread and it was pork chops and baby back ribs with butterfly shrimps and scallops on the side. They weren't doing that. Why don't you ever read like, oh yeah, and they killed the swine and they had the Passover? Why don't you ever read that? If Christ died for you to eat pork, or if that's why he came back, or just bless it and it's all good. See, that's why the scriptures say you err not knowing the scriptures. And I'm not going off on Mustafa. I'm going off on these Christians.
Absolutely.
That come with that nonsense that you just bless it. So you mean to tell me if I pray over a pile of boo-boo, it's good to eat? I'm not going to catch hepatitis? If I just pray over a pile of boo-boo. If I grab a pile of dog boo-boo right now and put it in front of me and just bless it, right? I can scoop that off into my mouth? Is that what they're saying? Yeah, it's foolish. It's foolishness. It's a foolish way of thinking. But that's why the scriptures say through thy precepts we get understanding. Because you do got to jump around to understand, wait a minute. If Yahushua was teaching one thing to Peter, why would Peter come and change it? Well, he did it. That's why it took him 3 times to even understand, like, nah, just follow. Jump back to Acts.
Acts chapter 10, verse 18.
Read.
And called and asked whether Simon, which was surnamed Peter, were lodged there.
Right? So these three men from Cornelius came to look for Peter. These three Gentiles. These three Gentile Israelites these three Gentiles, right? Go ahead, read.
While Peter thought on the vision.
Wait, he still did what?
Thought on the vision.
Wait, I thought he had it. I thought he knew that he was supposed to go eat pork.
Thought on the vision.
But I thought that he knew that he was supposed to go butterfly some shrimp, popcorn some shrimp. I thought he knew that.
While Peter thought on the vision.
You see, when we read down and read it slow and really give your mind and understand, man, the Bible will edify itself without you even have to jump anywhere. He was still thinking on the vision like, wait a minute, man, what did that mean? Read.
The Spirit said unto him.
The what?
The Spirit said unto him.
Go ahead.
Behold, 3 men seek thee.
Right, go ahead.
Arise therefore, and get thee down.
See, the Spirit had to come and talk to Peter. Go ahead, read.
And go with them, doubting nothing.
Doing what?
Doubting nothing.
Because when he saw him, he's going to be like, wait a minute, I'm not messing with these guys. They ain't Hebrews.
Right.
But the Spirit told him to go with them and doubt nothing. Don't worry about what you see. Go ahead.
For I have sent them.
Now, just like how the vision was sent to Peter and the knit sheet of all manner of beasts, it says knit at the four corners. That was representation of Israel being scattered through the four corners of the earth. That was representation of Israel, Isaiah chapter 11 and verse 11. Right?
Correct.
That was representation of us looking like all these other nations.
Damn.
He said, I will gather you from the four corners. He said, and the remnant, go there real quick. Go to Isaiah 11 and 11. That's what that knit sheet. See, the vision was an allegory, but now he's telling you what the vision is right here.
Yes, sir.
All you got to do, all they have to do, all the Christian church, all you poke eaters, all you got to do is read down. It's simple. And then Acts 11 was just Peter reiterating what he dealt with to these men. Right? Isaiah 11 said what? Read it real quick.
Isaiah chapter 11, starting at verse 10.
Read.
And in that day there shall be a root of Jesse.
Read 11.
Verse 11. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall set his hand again the second time.
Right.
To recover the remnant of his people.
Now the remnant of the people are who?
Israel.
Is Israel in a Gentile state of mind? Read.
Which shall be left from Assyria.
Because if you in Assyria but you an Israelite, you probably don't know you an Israelite.
Right.
You think you an Assyrian. Go ahead.
And from Egypt.
You think you're an Egyptian. Read.
And from Pathros.
And so y'all get it where this vision was representation of Israel being scattered.
Oh.
And that the Gentiles, the Israelites in a Gentile state of mind were going to come and they need to be taught. They need to be dealt with. You couldn't just shun them away. That's why the Spirit told Peter, go down to those men doubting nothing. Peter, rise and eat. You see how the vision is coinciding with what's going down? When he said, Peter, rise and eat, slay and eat, it was the same thing when he said, Peter, get up and go downstairs and deal with those men. The allegory was rise and eat. The understanding was get up and go deal with these 3 men that seek you. They're Gentiles. Y'all get that? So all of this is a parallel. The story is paralleling itself right in the same chapter. Peter, kill and eat. That's in verse 13. Verse 19. Arise therefore and get thee down and go with them, doubting nothing. It's the same thing. It's telling you the same thing. It was the same. The Spirit was opening up what Peter didn't understand. It was about men. Read on.
Acts chapter 10 verse 21. Then Peter went down to the men which were sent unto him from Cornelius.
Read.
And said, Behold, I am he whom ye seek.
Right.
What is the cause whereof ye are come?
Read.
And they said, Cornelius, the centurion, a just man, and one that feareth God, and of good report among all the nations of the Jews, was warned from God.
Why would he have report of all the nations among the Jews? Why did that even matter? Why would they throw that in there? Why would they throw that in there? Why would the Jews care about some Edomite? Why would they care about some other nation? Read on.
Was warned from God by an holy angel to send forth thee into his house.
Go ahead.
And to hear words of thee.
Read.
Then called he them in and lodged them. And on the morrow Peter went away with them, and certain brethren from Joppa accompanied him.
Read verse 24.
And the morrow after they entered into Caesarea, and Cornelius waited for them.
Go ahead.
And had called together his kinsmen.
Read.
And near friends.
Read.
And as Peter was coming in, Cornelius met him and fell down at his feet. And worshiped him.
See, Cornelius showed respect to Peter. Right? Go ahead.
But Peter took him up, saying, Stand up. I myself also am a man.
Go ahead.
And as he talked with him, he went in and found many that were come together.
Right, because all Cornelius' kinfolk and friends, they all came together. Now check out verse 28. Read.
And he said unto them, Ye know how that it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come unto one of another nation.
Right, read on.
But the Most High has showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean.
Y'all see that? The whole vision was about men. It was about Peter dealing with the Gentiles.
I'm sorry. I'm just now. It's funny. I've read this so many times, but I'm just now like. And it's funny because I got verse 28 highlighted, but
we all do.
When you really think about it and you really just read it, and you read the whole thing, it's like, really?
Yeah. What's up, Major? You got your hand up.
Yeah, it's pertaining to verse 28.
Right, read it.
And he said unto them, Ye know how that it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company, or come unto one of another nation.
Right.
But the Most High hath shown me that I should not call any man common or unclean.
Right.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, so it's saying that it's unlawful for us to be around and mingle with other nations.
Well, it's not that it's unlawful. You know, we have the laws of the strangers.
Right.
We have the laws of how to deal with the Gentiles.
Right.
They have to be following our customs.
Right.
But at this time, the Gentiles weren't following the Israelite customs. They were following the Gentile customs.
Right.
So the Jews didn't keep company with them.
Okay.
So that's where the rift came between Paul and Peter, because Paul was going out and teaching the Gentiles to get to the Israelites, because there were Israelites in a Gentile state of mind, where Peter was like, I'm not dealing with that. But then, see, it got opened up to Peter in the vision that, no, you got to go deal with them. You see that? You got to go deal with these Gentiles because you're going to save some. Like Paul said it best. I became all things to all men. Really, he was going into, I'm able to be a Gentile, but I'm able to be a Jew. I'm able to still be a Roman, right? But I'm able to still be a Hebrew so that I can win some. The some was Israelites scattered through Rome and through these other, through Asia Minor. So Paul was able to use his dual citizenship to win men. He was able to use the fact that he was a Roman, that he had that nationality, not birth, blood, but paid. He was able to go into these places. Right? Remember when they were getting ready to beat Paul and they were like, wait a minute, he's a Roman? Remember that? He was able to avoid them lashings because he had that Roman citizenship. They didn't deal with the Romans the way they dealt with the other nations. So he was able to use his status or the paid nationality that, remember, he was Hebrew by blood. He tells us that many times. Paul did. But he had that nationality because they paid for it. His father. Right? So he was able to use that to sneak in and get around the other Israelites with that same status, teach them real quick, drop the seed, peel out. But then he was able to go around Israelites that knew they was Israel. Why? Because he knew his nationality. He knew he was an Israelite. He knew how to deal with them and talk like them. I became all things to all men. But Peter was like, man, I ain't dealing with that. I'm dealing with the ones that know. I'm not going to these Gentiles. But that's why the vision had to come in. No, Peter, get up and go deal with these men. Doubting nothing. If they look like Gentiles, it's all good. Don't doubt. Just go. You see that?
Right.
That.
And then the second part of the question was when it says, I should not call any man common or unclean.
Right. Let's jump back. Let's jump back. Go back to verse 14.
But Peter said, not so, the Most High, for I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean.
Right. So, in the vision, he said, I never ate anything that was common or unclean, but we know the vision was about food. It wasn't about food. So what was he saying? He was really saying, I never dealt with no Gentiles.
Right.
I never dealt with these commoners, these unclean, uncircumcised men.
Okay.
I don't deal with them. Remember, the vision wasn't about food.
It was about people.
It's about people. So when he said, rise, Peter, slay and eat, he was basically like, no, go deal with them. It tells you that in verse 19 and 20. Arise, therefore, get thee down, right? And go with them, doubting nothing. Remember, the vision is the allegory. It's the symbolism of something else. When you go into that word allegory, watch, I'm going to get the rest of the definition. It's very important, man. Allegory. It says, allegory is in the word, where is that? We have a fine example of an allegory in the 8th Psalm. Basically, it talks about the Most High's chosen people as an olive tree. Like the Bible talks about Israel as an olive branch, right? As the olive tree. That's allegory. When it talks about a man in Ezekiel 37, it talks about Adam as the trees and the cedar trees in Eden.
Oh, God.
That's allegory for a man. Even though he was talking about trees, when you read Ezekiel 37, it was allegory or symbolism. All of Genesis was written in allegory or symbolism. When it talks about the trees in the midst of the garden, that was talking about men. When it talks about the beasts of the field, that was talking about men. When it talks about the fruit, that was the knowledge. When it all these things were symbolism or allegory. They were a hidden meaning for something else. But the beautiful thing about this Acts is that when the Spirit spoke to Peter, it gave him the vision. He was now able to understand, oh, I will deal with these guys that are Gentiles. It edified it right here. They missed that because they don't read down. They're like, see? Rise, Peter, slay and eat everything uncommon and unclean. But he said, I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean. Why would he come back and say, but God showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean? Because he was shown and broken down the vision through the Spirit. When those 3 men came to him, he was like, oh, damn, there it is. When they brought him to Cornelius, he was like, oh, wow, that's what that vision. When he sat around with them people, he was like, oh, got it. Got it now.
It's like you were just saying, like, he didn't know whether they were Israelite or not. Just because they look like Gentiles, just because they may have rolled with like Gentiles, that don't mean that they were Gentiles.
Right.
The Most High was showing him that, hey, look, these are clean. Don't call what I made clean unclean.
And just because they look a certain way, when that was a thing, it said that he was of the Italian band, so I'm sure he assimilated himself as an Italian. Right? He looked like those people.
Right, had the thin mustache and everything.
Well, this is way back before that.
Oh.
Yeah, this is way back before they was doing all that and Yahtzee and all that crap. Right? So he assimilated, no different than when Paul was running around killing Jews and looking like a Pharisee. He looked like a Pharisee. That's how they knew. Like, oh, damn, Paul's coming. Let's dip. Right? So these men, these people they looked a certain way, but guess what? They still respected the Most High. I mean, think about it. Cornelius fell to Peter's feet. Peter had to pick him up like, nah, I'm a brother just like you. He dealt with him like he was an angel. Like how when you see the angels, right, they will fall down to their face. He's like, nah, get up. I'm a brother just like you. So there was something about Cornelius that even though he might have looked a certain way, his piety towards the Most High was what the Most High was trying to show Peter. Like, look, he respects me the way you do. He believes the way you do. He's just a man that's been raised a certain way, just like Paul. Y'all get that?
But Cornelius was a nation.
No.
Oh, he wasn't?
No. Cornelius was an Israelite. We teach that Cornelius is an Israelite. A lot of people teach that Cornelius is a nation, that he was an Edomite. We done brought out many books showing that, and you can go through the scriptures. There was many Israelites that were called, check this out. Let me show you this. Hold on. Let me find it real quick. Let me find it real fast. There was another person called Italian in the scriptures. Let me find it. Damn, man. I'm not gonna find it. But remember, there was many people that were called, you know, what, like Job, land of Uz, right? Job was an Israelite, right? But that land of Uz, where was that at? It was around Esau. But he was an Israelite.
So I just thought because it said Cornelius the centurion.
Yeah, but we had people that were in the military. Right. Oh, yeah. And that's what they all like instantly. Yeah. Remember, Paul was known as a Greek. He was known as a Roman. So were our people. There was many Israelites in the Gentile, that Hellenistic mind. Right. Yeah, so
he was just like he was the Israelite in the Gentile state of mind.
Right.
Type.
Individual. Well, no, he was in the mind of serving the Most High, but he was around them Gentiles. You see that? They might have looked a certain way, they might have did certain things, but they followed what the Most High wanted. Okay. It tells you that his praise went through all Israel.
Okay, so that's why he fell to Peter.
Right.
Okay, because he knew who Peter was.
Right, because he's the one that sent the men for Peter.
Okay.
Right.
Okay, got it.
So you got to ask yourself now. Well, I mean, we went through it. Y'all get that, right? So Mustafa, hopefully. Yeah, Nate. Oh yeah. Ooh. Where did you send me that from? Here you go. Go real quick to Matthew. Hold on.
16:24.
No. No, don't worry about that. But one more. So y'all understand that, right? Go to Isaiah real quick. This is on another question that Mustafa had. Go to Isaiah 22:17. I mean, there's no questions online, right? It don't look like it.
No.
Are they?
Come on, there was a question online.
Really? I'm not.
It was pertaining to the other nations going to slavery.
Right? I didn't even see it. It's not popping up on my feed. Go to Isaiah 22, I think his question was in.
By Winnie Queen.
Give me a second and we can get to that. Isaiah 22:17. Right. Somebody get Isaiah 22:17.
Isaiah chapter 22, verse 17.
So Mustafa's question was this talking about Mustafa's question was this talking about Israel going into captivity, I believe, here in America? Read that real quick.
Behold, the Most High will carry thee away with a mighty captivity.
Go ahead.
And will surely cover thee. He will surely violently turn and toss thee like a ball into a large country.
Right.
There shalt thou die.
Right. What verse you at?
Verse 18.
Read that.
And there,
go ahead.
The chariots of the glory shall be the shame of the Most High's house.
Right now, so this was talking about specifically us being taken captive into Assyria. But you got to understand, when the scriptures deal with us going into captivity, there's always a twofold. Because why? We knew that we went through captivity after captivity after captivity. So even a scripture like this, even though it's specific to this captivity, it's still talking about our captivity here in America. At this time, it was dealing with the Assyrian captivity, but it said the curses. Go to Deuteronomy 28. Go to Deuteronomy 28:45. When it said that he will surely violently turn thee and toss thee like a ball, that was representation of the curses following us, man, and him scattering us throughout the four corners. Read Deuteronomy 28:45.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 45.
Go ahead.
Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee.
Read.
And shall pursue thee.
Read.
And overtake thee.
Right. It said the curses were going to come upon us and pursue us. Go ahead.
Till thou be destroyed.
Read.
Because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy power, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee.
Go ahead, read verse 246.
And they shall be upon thee for a sign.
For a what?
For a sign.
Read.
And for a wonder.
Right, they were going to be up on us no matter where we went. So yeah, this was talking about the Assyrian captivity, but it does go for any captivity that Israel ever been in after this prophecy. Just like a lot of the scriptures when it talks about our captivities. Yeah, you can look at that and say, well, damn, the curses done followed us everywhere. So, yes, it is talking about, at that time, the Assyrian captivity, but it has that twofold where it's talking about this captivity also. So, hopefully you understand that. Remember, the scriptures say the curses will pursue us and overtake us. I thought there was another one.
There's in the same chapter.
Yeah, that's the one. What's the other one?
The other one, it says it again. It says also in verse 15.
Verse.
Shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
Right. Oh, there's another one. No. So hopefully y'all understand that. It's just like the Deuteronomy. Did just the Deuteronomy curses happen to us here in America? No. The Deuteronomy curses happen to us in all our captivities. Yeah, so obviously 68, well, we knew that's how we was going to get took into America, or excuse me, how we were going to get brought to America. But these curses, there was things going on in the Babylonian captivity, the Assyrian captivity, that you can mirror that from Deuteronomy and say, oh damn, we went through that in Deuteronomy. Or Deuteronomy prophesied it. Deuteronomy wasn't prophesying just one captivity. Deuteronomy was prophesying all the captivities after we were pulled out of Egypt if we disobeyed. So everything you read in Deuteronomy, all the prophecies in Deuteronomy 28, that was going to follow us through generation and generation and generation up until this time. So the prophecies in Jeremiah, Isaiah, Hosea, my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, right? Were they just destroyed for lack of knowledge at that time? Nah, that prophecy still stands today. That we're destroyed, but we've been destroyed for lack of knowledge all the way since what? Since the first Egypt, right? So that prophecy is history and prophecy in one. Right? So y'all get that, right? Con. What was the question online? Any questions on what we went over?
Oh, not on what we went over.
What you got?
My question's in Numbers.
Right?
I just need more understanding from verse 40 on down.
Numbers what?
Chapter 3, sorry.
Numbers chapter 3 and verse 40. Go ahead.
Numbers chapter 3, verse 40.
Right, go ahead, read.
And the Most High said unto Moses, number all the firstborn of the males of the children of Israel.
Go ahead.
From a month old and upward.
Read.
And take the number of their names.
Right, so he's basically telling Moses to take a census of all the firstborn of Israel. Go ahead.
Verse 41. And thou shalt take the Levites for me.
Right.
I am the Most High. Instead of all the firstborn among the children of Israel.
Right.
And the cattle of the Levites. Instead of all the firstlings among the cattle.
Right, so instead of everyone giving up their firstborn to be priests, the Most High chose Levi to give up their firstborn and their cattle. Instead of taking all the whole nation, he chose Levi.
So it was based to ordain them as priests, not as anything else.
Right.
Okay, that's what I need.
Right. I mean, was that it?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that's.
I didn't understand like what he meant by take the firstborn.
Oh yeah, that's why he said, "Thou shalt take the Levites for me," meaning they're going to be the priesthood. They're going to serve me. They're going to do my service.
Okay.
Yeah, but he chose all the firstborn males. Instead of taking the firstborn of all 12, we just going to deal with the Levites.
Does it say why?
It does. It does. I gotta find it. It does say why. I don't know if it's in the same chapter, but it does say why. I remember somebody asked this while we were going over it inside of class, and let me see here.
I think verse 45.
I gotta find it. Verse 45. Let's see. Take the Levites instead of all the firstborn. Cattle. Well, no, it doesn't. No, there was a reason. He gave a reason. Because that's just echoing what he said in verse 41. Let's see here.
You got Numbers 8 and verse 5. I can read that. On down.
Is that it?
And then you can jump to verse 11.
Yeah, he's telling them what to do. Yeah, no, there was a reason. We know that he chose the Levites to execute the service, but if I'm not mistaken, I read a scripture where he said why he wanted the Levites. Yeah, I read that. Take the Levites. Yeah, I mean, I thought there was one that was more specific. Well, yeah, I'll read it. It's Numbers 8 and verse 19. 8 and verse 18. He said, I have taken the Levites for all the firstborn of the children of Israel, and I have given the Levites as a gift to Aaron and his sons from among the children of Israel, to do the service of the children of Israel in the tabernacle of the congregation, to make an atonement for the children of Israel, that there be no plague among the children of Israel when the children of Israel come nigh to the sanctuary. Yeah.
Is it Numbers chapter 3, verse 12 is saying like open it the matrix?
No, because that's just telling you about all the firstborn. Numbers 3 and 12. These are the names. 3?
Yeah.
Is that it? And we all are taking the Levites from all the children of Israel instead of all the firstborn. Opening the matrix among the children. No, that's not the one I'm looking for. There's one. I'm gonna find it. There was one. I know I read it. I'm not tripping. The Most High said specifically why he took Levi. This is just saying that he's doing that. But we're looking for the why.
Verse 13 says because.
Right. No.
No, that's not it.
No, that's not it. Wait, let me see. Let me find it. Let me find it. You know I'm gonna find that. Now I'm gonna be obsessed. Now I'm gonna be obsessed with that. Was there a question online?
Yes.
What's that?
The question online was, are the 2/3 of people in the other nations besides Esau going to be in slavery for 1,000 years and then be free? I know Esau would be extinct after the 1,000 years of hardcore labor.
Are the 2/3
of people and
well so you have 1/3 of Israel that's going to be cut off. The 2/3, right?
2/3 of Israel cut off.
2/3 of Israel cut off, and 1/3 is going to be saved. Saying that wrong. Yeah, the 2/3 are going to die. So 2/3 of Israel is going to be cut off. 1/3 is going to be brought through the fire, like the scriptures say. So go ahead and read the rest of your question.
So are the 2/3 of people in the other nations besides Esau going to be in slavery for 1,000 years and then be free?
Yeah, the 2/3, it doesn't say anything about 2/3 of the nations. It doesn't give you a number. It just tells you that the nations are going to come and serve us. Right? You read that in Isaiah 60. You read that Isaiah 14. Go to Isaiah 60 real fast. Doesn't give a number. The 2/3 of Israel, the 2/3 that were going to be cut off were of Israel. Find me that. Yeah, give me that real quick. Somebody get Isaiah 60. See, it doesn't number the Gentiles.
Zechariah 13:8.
Right. So read that real quick. Isaiah 60 and 10.
Isaiah chapter 60, verse 10. And the sons of strangers shall build up thy walls.
Read.
And their kings shall minister unto thee.
Right.
For in my wrath I smote thee, but in my favor have I had mercy on thee.
Right. So the kings of the Gentiles were going to build up our walls, right?
Go
to Isaiah 14 real quick, in verse 2. Actually, 14 and verse 1.
Acts.
Isaiah 14 and verse 1.
Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1. For the Most High will have mercy on Jacob.
Right.
And will yet choose Israel.
Right.
And set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them.
The who?
The strangers shall be joined with them.
Go ahead.
And they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
So it's going to tell us who the strangers are. Read on.
And the people shall take them and bring them to their place. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Most High for servants.
For what?
For servants and handmaids.
Right, so we're not going to possess our own people for servants and handmaids. How do we know? Read on.
And they shall take them captives. Whose captives they were.
Right, so the ones that took us captives, we're going to make them our captives. The roles are going to reverse. Go ahead.
And they shall rule over their oppressors.
Right, right. Our own people aren't oppressing us. So the 2/3 that you're talking about of Israel, they're going to be cut. That's 2/3 of Israel, not 2/3 of the nation. 1/3 of Israel is going to pass through the fire. 2/3 will be cut off. You got that? Is it Zechariah?
It's Zechariah chapter 13, verse 8.
Right. Read on, Major.
Verse 3. And it shall come to pass in the day that the Most High shall give thee rest from thy sorrow.
Right.
And from thy fear.
Why? Because now we're going to be in charge. Put your hand on the wheel and say, I'm in charge. I'm in charge. Right? That's how we're going to be. We're going to be in charge, man. Like hustle and flow. Right? Go ahead, read.
And from the hard bondage.
I didn't think anybody else was going to get that. Y'all must have watched Hustle and Flow lately. Put your hand on the wheel and say, I'm in charge. But anyway, go ahead. From what?
And from the hard bondage.
Right. So all the hard bondage is being brought on us by what? By these nations. That's why they call America modern day Sodom and Egypt. Go ahead.
Wherein thou was made to serve. Verse 4. That thou shalt take up with this, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon, and say, how hath the oppressor seized?
How has the what?
Oppressor ceased.
Yeah, see, how have the oppressors ceased? Well, because now they are captives. So that slavery that you're talking about, first of all, that slavery that's not 1,000 years. That slavery, the kingdom is not going to be 1,000 years long. When Yahushua comes back to establish the kingdom, it's not going to be 1,000 years. Y'all know that, right? It's going to be forever. It's an everlasting kingdom. So we don't need everlasting slaves. I mean, I know I'm gonna need them. I don't plan on doing no work. I'm sorry. I'm a wax fat, kick, relax. When it said Malachi 3 says, "Arise, depart. This is not your rest." The kingdom is going to be our rest. It's telling you right here.
Yes, sir.
It says, "And it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall give thee rest from thy sorrow." That's in the kingdom. We're never going to sorrow in the kingdom. We're never going to have to worry about how we're going to get things done in the kingdom. We're always going to have somebody there to do it for us. Right?
Can't wait.
Go to Zechariah.
Zechariah chapter 13, verse 8.
Numbers in what? Numbers 1 and 47? I'm looking at it. I feel like that was not it though.
Zechariah chapter 13 verse 8. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Most High, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein.
Right, it says 2 parts shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. Go ahead.
And I will bring thee third part through the fire.
Right.
And will refine them as silver and and I will bring thee third part through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. I will say, it is my people, and they shall say, the Most High is my power.
Sir.
Right, was that it?
Yes, sir.
Right, so, where was that at?
Zechariah chapter 13, verses 8 and 9.
Yeah. I think we got to do another class on, I mean, we did you know what you put in there? You know what class you put for them? And we could go, we got to do another, we got to do like another deliverance class. You can put in there, look for that class that says the beginning of the end.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, the beginning of the end. You were at Zechariah 13. Yeah.
8 and 9.
Yeah. Right. Anything else?
There were 2 more questions.
Okay.
Going back to the allegory, somebody had asked, while you're speaking on allegory, can you touch on Galatians 4:24? I don't know if y'all hit that when I was in the back.
Right. Galatians 4:24. These things were written in allegory. Right. They're trying to use this and say, all these things were written in allegory. Go to Galatians 4:24.
Jermaine, can you grab that?
Now,
I'm sorry, I was reading on a past question. What was the
go to Galatians, actually.
4:24.
Actually, you're going to read Galatians 4:22.
Galatians 4:22.
For
it is written that Abraham had 2 sons.
Right, because who did he have?
Ishmael
and Isaac, right? Now, one son was to do what? One son was to inherit the promise. One son wasn't. Correct? Right, go ahead.
The one by a bondmaid.
Right.
The other by a free woman.
Right, go ahead.
But he who was of the bondwoman was born after the flesh.
Right.
But he of the free woman.
So the bondwoman, who was Isaac's Ishmael's mother?
Hagar.
It was Hagar, right? The handmaid. Who was Isaac's Ishmael? Who was Isaac's mother? Sarah, right? So Sarah represented the free woman. Hagar represented the bondwoman. So these things we're talking about, it's showing you the allegory, the way it's written and how they use the free and the bond and talking about Israel. Right? Go ahead, watch, read on.
He of the free woman was by promise.
Right? He of the free woman was by what?
By promise.
Right. See, it was the promise that was made to Abraham. It was what the Most High promised. Go ahead.
Which things are an allegory.
Right. Even that was it was symbolic of something. Hagar and her son was symbolic. Sarah and her son were symbolic of the covenants. Go ahead.
The one from the Mount Sinai, which
where you're at. Go ahead. No, you skipped. Which are things in allegory, for these are two covenants.
Oh.
Go ahead.
Which things are an allegory, for these are the two covenants. The one from Mount Sinai, which gendereth to bondage.
Right.
Which is Hagar.
Or Hagar. Go ahead.
From this Hagar is Mount Sinai in Arabia. And answer to Jerusalem, which now is and is in bondage with her children.
It said, Hagar answereth to Jerusalem. Right? Now, remember when Hagar left and ran off? What did the Spirit come back and tell her? Go back and deal with, it said, go back and deal with Sarah. And basically take whatever she gives to you, right? Right. She answered to her. That was her handmaid. It was just allegory. It was just symbolic of something. Watch. Go on. Go on. Read verse 26.
Verse 26. But Jerusalem, which is above, is free.
Right. Because we know that the promise was going to come through Isaac. Keep wanting to say Ishmael. But even Ishmael was promised something, right?
God.
Didn't it say he would have 12 kings? Did it happen? Yeah, but the promise of the nation of Israel, sand like a nation like the sand of the sea, that came through Sarah and Isaac. So all of it, when it's talking about allegory, if you look up the word and you understand, a lot of the Bible is written allegorically or just simply symbolic. That's all it is, just symbolism. It's another word. It's a synonym for allegory is symbolic. A lot of the Bible, when he said, I was a beast before thee, I was ignorant. Was David really saying I was an animal? Wow. Well, he was saying that I was acting like an animal, because a beast of the field ain't got no common sense, wisdom, or any type of intellectual doing besides how to get food and how to have sex. That's it. I was a beast before them. Symbolism.
Comparing one thing to another.
Comparing, yeah, that's all it is using one thing to compare it to another, but just using different words. Just like how, when you read it, I said it earlier, Ezekiel 37 chapter, when it talks about the trees of Lebanon, the trees of the garden.
Right.
Where's that? No, Ezekiel 33, right? It's Ezekiel 31. Really? Man, he's definitely right. Ezekiel the 31st chapter. I don't know why I was thinking 37. But this is another example of allegory. Read Ezekiel 31 in verse 5.
Ezekiel 31 verse 5. Therefore his height was exalted above all the trees.
Right now, if you take it verbatim, you think like, oh, it's talking about trees, but it says his height. Is a tree got gender? Right. Trees don't have gender like that. Like it's not, oh, that's a male cedar tree. Go ahead.
Was exalted above all the trees of the field.
Right. We know the field is allegory for the world, or symbolic of the world. Go ahead.
And his boughs, or bows,
were
multiplied. And his branches became long because of the multitude of waters.
Right.
When he shot forth.
Go ahead.
All the fowls of heaven made their nest in his boughs.
Right. Go ahead, read on.
And under his branches did all the beasts of the field bring forth their young.
Right. See, when it's talking about the beasts of the field, it's talking about men. This ain't got nothing to do with trees and animals. Read on.
And under his shadow dwelt all great nations.
Right, because when you read down, you understand this is talking about Adam. The nations were living fat because the wisdom and knowledge that Adam had.
God.
It said the multitude of waters. What is the waters representative of? Wisdom, knowledge, understanding. Right? Out of his belly shall, he that believeth on me, as the scripture had said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. That living wisdom. That's what Adam had. All the other nations were able to take advantage to some degree of that. It said they lived under his shadow. Right? Go ahead. Read verse 7.
Verse 7. Thus was he fair in his greatness, in the length of his branches, for his root was by great waters.
Hold that. Go to Psalms 1 and verse 1. Go to Psalms 1 and 1.
God, Psalms chapter 1, verse 1.
Read.
Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly.
Come on.
Nor standeth in the way of sinners. Nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful.
Read.
But his delight is in the law of the Lord. And in his law doeth he meditate day and night.
Come on. So the subject matter is a man. Blessed is the man. Right? Read verse 3.
And he shall be like a tree planted by the river of water.
See, this man, if he walks not in the scornful, he should be like a tree. Allegory. Symbolism. Go ahead.
That bringeth forth his fruit in his season.
Right.
His leaf also shall not wither.
Right.
And whatsoever he doeth shall prosper.
You see that? So it's allegory. The man is representative or symbolism of this tree. So don't get confused with the word. It's just symbolism. That's all it is. Like I said in Mark 7, I see men walking as trees. Now don't get confused. Every single time it says trees, it ain't talking about a man. Every single time it's talking about a beast, it ain't talking about a man. Okay. You got to understand the context. All right. Anything else?
There was one more question. It said, how do we understand what our calling is within this truth?
How do we understand what?
How do we understand what our calling is within this truth?
Well, first and foremost, the calling is to teach Israel, right? The calling is to go to Ephesians real quick. Go to Ephesians 4. So once you understand that Christ is black, once you understand that the apostles were black, give me Hebrews and Zephaniah. Once you understand these things, then we were supposed to gather together. Once you got, the Christ is black breakdown, you weren't supposed to take the book, fold it up. Hooray, Christ is black. I'm good. You were supposed to get to work. Give me that. Zephaniah. Gather together.
Zephaniah 2, 1.
Yeah, give me that. Read that.
Zephaniah, chapter 2, verse 1.
Uh-huh.
Gather yourselves together.
Wait, he said what?
Gather yourselves together.
Now that I got the knowledge, I'm supposed to just do nothing?
Gather.
Right, we were supposed to gather together. Now that we got the wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, now we know that Christ is black. You're supposed to use that. We're supposed to gather together. Go ahead.
Yeah. Gather together.
Read.
O nation, not desire.
Read on.
Before the decree.
Bring
forth. Before the day pass. As chaff.
Right.
As the chaff.
As the chaff. Read.
Before the fierce anger.
Before when?
The fierce anger.
Come on.
Of the Most High come upon you.
Read.
Before the day of the Most High's anger.
Right.
Come
so
upon you.
he's telling you, listen, we're supposed to learn knowledge and then gather, not separate ourselves into sects and different belief systems. We're supposed to gather together. Because no matter what, we are the nation that's not desired. They don't want us to gather. That's the thing. These other nations don't want us to gather. So the Most High is commanding us. Gather together. You got the wisdom, knowledge, understanding. Gather together with other like-minded individuals. Right? So once you gathered, what was the gathering together for? What was the gathering together for? Why was it important? Yeah, for fellowship. What else?
Endeavor to keep the bond and the unity of peace.
Right. Ephesians 4, endeavoring to keep the bond of the spirit of peace. What else?
He commented on, I guess he wanted to clarify what his question was pertaining to.
Okay, go ahead. What is it?
He said, let me clarify, like how we have apostles, elders, prophets, etc. I understand entirely who we are.
Right.
That's what he put.
Right. Okay, I think I'm misunderstanding. Hold on, maybe I'm not understanding the question.
You want to read both real quick?
Yeah, read it one more time.
So the first question is, how do we understand what our calling is within this truth? And then the clarification is, let me clarify, like how we have apostles,
right,
elders, prophets, etc. I understand entirely who we are.
Oh, right, yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna get there. I was just bear with me. I'm gonna get there, but this is for the people that, oh, Christ is black, and then I'm just going, Christ is black and that's it. Yeah. I'm gonna be the keyboard warrior, the keyboard gangster. I'm gonna hate all the camps. I'm gonna hate this. I'm gonna hate gathering. I'm trying to cover all bases. You know, but a lot of people don't know. That's the thing. So even before you got to being a prophet, an apostle, a bishop, there was still certain things why you had to gather. You know why? Go to Hebrews 5 and verse 11. So once you gathered, give me, can I be hitting with Isaiah? Yeah. Before that, go to Isaiah real quick. No. Yeah.
Oh, it is.
Go to Isaiah chapter 30 and verse 20. Hold Hebrews.
God. Isaiah chapter 30 verse 20. Verse 20.
Go ahead.
And though the Most High give you the bread of adversity, and the water of affliction,
read,
yet shall not thy teachers be removed into a corner anymore.
Right, so the gathering was for you to see how to use the word. You got the word, you got the breakdowns, but now you gather together to see, wait a minute, how do I wield my sword? Right? Because the scriptures say iron sharpeneth iron. A man should sharpen the countenance of his friend. Right? Because just because you have the Bible, a lot of us don't know how to use it. The discernment, the discretion, the tact, that's not there. That's why people watch street teachings, and then when they meet actual Israelites in person, they're like, damn, you ain't yelling at me. Well, yeah, because we don't just all yell all the time. It's not a 24-hour yell session. Isaiah 58 and 1 doesn't apply in every single situation. But some people think that Israelites just yell and scream. So now you got to gather to see your teachers so they can do what? Now go to Hebrews 5. Go to Hebrews 5 and read 11.
Hebrews chapter 11. Chapter 5, verse 11.
Read.
Of whom we have many things to say.
Verse 12.
Verse 12. For the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again.
Right, Right, so you gathered together, you saw your teachers, because when it was time for you to be a teacher, why would you need to be taught again? Well, again, just because you have the word didn't mean that you knew how to use the word properly. That didn't mean that you had the correct balance, the correct application. So you have to come and see how it was done. That's what a lot of people, and it's not a knock on anybody online, but the ones that are able to congregate and come together and gather with like-minded individuals that choose not to, because I hate camps and I'm not going to do that and I don't need no man to teach me nothing. Those are usually the ones that make a lot of mistakes because they have the word, but they're too excessive. They're too forceful. Right? They try to force the course of the river. Or they're on the opposite hand. They're too soft. They're too laid back. They don't know what level, what degree of force to use. So it says the time you ought to be teachers, you need someone to teach you again. Sometimes it's just basically your misunderstanding of the scriptures. Your understanding of the scripture is totally off. You know, brothers thought that, or there was a brother that thought that you know, when the scripture talks about in Deuteronomy when you took a wife, you're supposed to take a year off. Come on, man. We ain't got time for that. The scripture said it's not your rest. When we showed him, like, oh, yeah, no, that's not. No. Right now, bro, it's a spiritual war. Ain't no time for no days off. He was like, oh, damn. Got it. Like, how come you ain't been around? Well, you not got a new wife. The Bible says take time off to cheer her up. You ain't got that time. You better cheer her up while you're doing this work. Because what's going to happen is you take a break from the spirit. The Satan don't stop. Wow. But see, we have to teach him again and show him, like, wait, your understanding of what that scripture is saying is not totally on point. Go ahead.
Which be the first principles of the oracles of the Most High.
Right. See, the first principle, the first thing that we always have to learn is that it don't matter what you know coming in, you got to be shown the right way. Read.
And are become such as have need of milk.
Right. So no matter what you know online, if you haven't been around other men, iron sharpening you, if you haven't had the opportunity to know those that labor amongst you, then these are the things you have to be taught amongst other things. But it says right here through the scriptures, these are the principal things. Before you can hit apostleship and bishop this and deacon this, you got to learn these things. You got to get back to the principles. You got to get the milk. So that way all bases are covered. Because learning online or just learning, like the Spirit taught me, right? A lot of brothers that be on that. Well, the Holy Spirit's going to show me. Well, the Bible says that your teachers, you would see their face. Go ahead. What's going on out there?
Somebody had their kid in the trunk.
Wow. Read on.
And not of strong meat.
Right. Go ahead.
For everyone that useth milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness.
Right. Because we're all, before you get amongst, you're unskillful in the word of righteousness. Does it mean that you can't quote scriptures? Does it mean that you don't know where to go to get such and such? No, but again, like the scriptures say, walk with wisdom to them that are without. And have your speech seasoned with salt. A lot of people's speech ain't seasoned with salt. They got to be taught that. A lot of people don't know how to deal with their wife, but they think they do, but they got to be shown, like, wait a minute, you're too aggressive. Even with your own wife. Wait a minute, that method is not needed. What you're trying to get to is right, but the methodology of how you're trying to do it, it's the wrong method. That don't apply right now. See, those things get taught how? They get taught from experience. Another man making the mistakes, using the wrong method, coming back and using the right method, and saying, oh, that's what's going to work in this situation. So it's all these things that you have to lead up to before you get the title of bishop slapped on you. Bow. Because all it is a rank, right? But before a man gets ranked, he got to be proven what?
Faithful.
Now, finish reading on and go to 2 Timothy's. Go ahead.
For he is a babe.
Right.
But strong meat belonging to them that are of full age.
Read.
Even those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern.
They have their what?
their senses exercised.
So they have their senses exercised. Now, just because you're exercising your senses don't mean you're doing it right. Just because one of the senses is to taste don't mean you got to taste everything. But see, someone else's experience is like, no, don't taste that. Don't touch that. Right? Somebody else is like, oh, no, you don't need to touch that. You don't need to touch that to feel what it is. But just because you have the sense to taste, don't mean everything is edible. Don't mean everything is touchable. Go ahead.
To discern both good and evil.
Right. It don't take you having to put yourself in the midst to determine good and evil. That's why iron sharpeneth iron. That's why you will see your teachers, because your teachers can say, listen, I know what that bread of adversity. Go back there real quick. Go back to that Isaiah 30 and 20. Because I love that scripture because of the fact that that bread of adversity. Read that.
Isaiah chapter 30, verse 20. And though the Most High give you bread of adversity and the water of affliction.
Right, now you get the bread of adversity, the water of affliction. What was set there to help you get through that? The teacher, right? The brothers, the sister, the body, the gathering. That's what that was there for. Hey, man, I know you're going through hell. Let me give you these scriptures. Let me give you this understanding. Man, I've been there. The ones around you were the representation of being able to get through the affliction because they went through it to some degree. They might have went through the same thing you're going through. Somebody had. You lost a kid? Well, I'm the example of how to take whatever is brought upon you joyfully when you lose a kid. You lost a family member, you lost friends, you lost this, you lost that. Well, guess what? The body, that iron sharpening you, were people that already went through what you were about to go through. They had to be sharpened to that because what they were about to go through, somebody already went through from generation to generation to generation. It was a repeat cycle thing. So that bread of affliction, that adversity, someone was there to show you how to go through it. Those were the first principles. Right? Now that you use your senses, go to 2 Timothy's.
2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 2.
Go ahead.
And the thing that thou hast heard of me,
right,
among many witnesses.
Read verse 1.
God, now therefore, my son, be strong in the grace that is in Yahushua.
Read.
And the things that thou hast heard of me, among many witnesses.
Among what?
Many witnesses.
So the things that you heard and seen, read.
The same commit thou to faithful men.
Right, so you have to be, now that you were taught and using your senses, now you have to be found faithful. You have to be found faithful enough to say, hey, he's going to be a bishop. He's going to be a deacon. He's going to be able to take on, all that is, those titles, bishop, deacon, pastor, that should be more responsibility, right? That's what that was representation of. You're just taking on more responsibility. As much is given, much is required. So now you have to be around to be found faithful to see if we give you this, if we give you more, are you going to be able to be faithful in that? Or are you going to buckle and fold? So it said commit to what?
Faithful men.
How do you find a man faithful? Well, the scriptures say, know those that labor amongst you.
Yes, sir.
How do you know those that labor amongst you? Well, gather yourselves together, O nation not desired. Yea, gather together. Forsake ye not the assembling of yourselves together like the manner of some do. The ones that forsake being around brothers and sisters, they're the ones that don't get the full picture. They lack balance, man. We see it time in and time out. They be lying in their houses. They're like, the scriptures say, don't be not like a lion in your own house. Those are the ones that are like Bible bullies in their house. Oh, you're gonna get this word, they force. They don't have the experience on how to deliver the word. There was a certain delivery you had to come with certain people. Go ahead, read on.
Who shall be able to teach others also.
Right, so they were supposed to be able to be taught so they can teach others. So now you're getting into bishophood. Now you're getting into apostleship. But it was a training purpose. Right? It said give me the one where it says the servant, he's under tutors and governors. The heir different no longer than the servant. Give me that one. Yeah, Galatians what? 4. Give me that one real quick. This guy's brain is on 10. His memory is ridiculous. This guy's memory is savage. It's a beast. Allegory, right? Right? It says, go ahead, read that.
Galatians chapter 4, verse 1. Now I say that the heir, as long as he is a child,
right,
deferred nothing from a servant.
Read on.
Though he be Lord of all.
Is that the one I want? Read on.
But is under tutors and governors.
Why? Because he's trying to be found faithful. His tutors and governors are like, wait a minute. Okay, is he faithful? Well, let's give him this task. Let's put this on him. Let's see how he handles this. Let's see what he does under pressure. Let's see if he's going to fold up. Let's see what he does when there's prosperity. Let's see what happens when he's brought low. It's all these different ideas that a bishop, a pastor, a deacon had to understand. Now, when you read about the Apostle Paul, Paul was like, I know how to base and abound. I know how to suffer loss. I know how to deal with gain. I know how to deal with fasting. These are the things that approve me as a minister. We'll get there. But he said he's under tutors and governors until when?
Until the appointed time of the Father.
Right, until the appointed time, until he's found faithful. So if you want to know what do I do with it, what do I do once I get the word? This is what you do. The reason why I went this route was because there's no skipping steps here. It says, where's that? Oh, go back to Timothy's. It's gonna break it right down. Go back to Timothy's 2.
Come
on. So now that he's found faithful, verse 3.
Though therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Yahushua.
Right. So now he has to know that he has to endure the hardness that Christ wants him to endure. There's no longer, let me double dutch back and forth. Let me be double-minded. Let me, 1 minute I'm down with Christ, but the world is calling me. I'm so weak, there's none of that. He got to endure hardness as a good soldier of Christ. Yahushua, read.
No man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life.
You got to understand that you're in a war. Spiritually, the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through the pulling down of strongholds. Sure. So you got to recognize that I'm in a war. I can't get entangled with my past life, the former life, the things that are around me. That'd be the problem with, go to Matthews. Go to Matthews real quick. That'd be the problem with brothers and sisters. They get the word, they don't know what they're getting into. And then, just like it says, be not entangled with the world, with this life, what is it talking about? Well, go to Matthew 13. Matthew 13 and verse 22.
Matthew chapter 13, verse 22. He also that received seed among the thorns.
He did what?
Received seed among the thorns.
Because he didn't understand what he was getting into. He wasn't rooted. He received seed amongst the thorns. He forgot that he was a good soldier. Go ahead.
Is he that heareth the word, and the care of this world.
You see that? Read.
And the deceitfulness of riches choke the word.
Right. So this woman had to understand that I'm here to serve Christ. The principal things have to be instilled. That thou cannot serve mammon, or you can't serve two masters. You can't serve mammon and God. So the cares of the world wouldn't be able to choke you out, choke the word out of you. That you were able to abound and abound. Not for a year, not for 2 years. I'm doing the Hebrew Israelite thing. And then 5 years later, you're doing the Muslim thing. And then 10 years later, you back, I'm an Israelite again. I don't believe. I'm back to being Christian. And then you jumping from every denomination in Christian. That's what happens if you don't go through these steps. Trust me. Trust me. We've seen it. We've seen it from time to time. A lot of experience. Go back to Timothy's. 2 Timothy 2 and verse 3 again.
Come, thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Yahushua. No man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life.
Right.
That he may please him.
That he may do what?
Please him.
Go ahead.
Who hath chosen him to be a soldier.
So you have to understand that you were chosen for this life. And that even, you got to rewind back, you know, Jeremiah 1 and 5, you were chosen from the foundation of the earth. You were chosen to get the word. It's all these things that have to be instilled in a man so he could abound more and more. Right? Read on.
Come. And if a man also strive for mastery.
Right. You striving to be that bishop, that deacon, that priest, that elder, that leader. If you're striving for these things, go ahead.
Yet is he not crowned except he strive lawfully.
Yeah. The only way you're going to be crowned is if you strive lawfully. The Bible gives us the blueprint on how to strive lawfully. You got to be taught again. You got to gather. You got to understand why you were called. You got to endure your calling. You got to endure, like Paul said, I beseech you as the prisoner of Yahushua. Right? So now that you understand those things, that's when, and all the, you know, when all that's going on, you got Ecclesiastes, the 6th chapter, where it goes in about the shackles of wisdom. So there's a lot of different things here when the gathering together and being around brothers and sisters. And I know everybody can't because there's not a camp that they want to deal with in every city. We get that. We understand that. This is not a chastisement on the ones that are not able. But this is just for the ones that are able. You got to wake up and see that. You got to. The Bible tells you how to further yourself and propel yourself in this wisdom. Now go to 1 Timothy 3. Go to 1 Timothy 3. Is it 1 Timothy or 2 Timothy? A bishop?
1 Timothy 3.
Yeah, 1 Timothy 3 and verse 1.
God.
My memory works a little bit. Go ahead.
1 Timothy 3, verse 1. This is a true saying.
Right.
If a man desire the office of a bishop,
go ahead.
He desireth a good work.
Wait, what does he desire?
A good work.
So this man had to understand that he desires a good work. Is this a brother or a sister that was asking?
I think it was a brother.
Okay. So you got to understand what you're desiring. It ain't just a title. It's a what?
An office. The office of a bishop. He desired a good work.
Just a title?
A good work.
Yeah, you desiring to put yourself to work. It ain't kick it and relax time now that I'm bishop such and such. As much is given, much is required. Go ahead.
Verse 2. A bishop then must be blameless.
He must be what?
Blameless.
Right. A bishop has to be blameless. He has to abstain from all appearances of evil. But how are you blameless? How do you hold yourself blameless if you were not shown how? See, that's where the iron sharpeneth iron. That's where the teacher aspect comes in. All these things that we're going to read over. This is what a lot of men don't understand this. They're like, blameless. Nigga, I don't got to be blameless. I don't got to do that. I'm a bishop. See? I got all the Bible verses. I know the breakdown of everything. I can go all the way into the quasars of the Bible. But if you can't find yourself blameless, then what does it matter? All you're going to do is offend people. All you're going to do is turn off the people that's around you. You're going to look like a hypocrite. Right? Read on.
The husband of one wife.
Right. He got to be able to deal with one woman. At least one woman first. When you look into that word first or one, it means first. It says first or one when you look into that word. So he has to, and why is that important? Why is it important that he had to know how to deal with a woman? Why is that important, Lamont?
Because you have to understand how to be gentle with
these weaker vessels.
Right. But look at it from a bishop's standpoint. Why would he have to know how to deal with a woman? No. I want these brothers to answer. These are the ones that be wanting all the women's, so I want to know what they're thinking. Jermaine.
Because I'm thinking if a bishop is one governing himself, but also have to govern over others, he's going to at least have to be able to deal with just one first before multiple.
But forget about multiple. What's the importance of even just one?
Less is more.
Major. Y'all looking at it the wrong way.
No, I just think, like, first of all, in a congregation, you have men and women. Right. So in order for you to be able to address anyone's situation that's dealing with both, you have to know how to deal with your own before even having the insight to deal with somebody else's situation.
Right. You got to know how to get through marital issues. Right. You got to know how to deal in these situations and be able to administer the right advice, the right counsel. Now, we know that the Apostle Paul was the exception. He was endowed with that spirit where he was able to give advice on marital issues. Why? He was dealing with that. He was dealing with all these issues. He said, it's good that a man not even touch a woman. Right? I wish every man was like me. Not every man has that power. But was he able to still give good counsel? Sound? Because he knew the law. He knew the law inside and out. And then he had all these churches that he was dealing with where he was like, dealing here. Oh, okay, look, well, the law says this. The law says this. This is not even law. This ain't commandment. This is just a suggestion. That's how Paul was writing. Like, this is not of the Lord, right? It's not the Lord's commandment, but this is my commandment. It's better if you do this and do that. Do benevolence, right? All these different things that Paul was bringing to keep peace in the house. Y'all see that? But a lot of men don't know how to even give sound counsel without having to be able to deal with one woman first. But the point was, one of the main points was this. The understanding was that a man could have more than one wife, but why would you try to go get 1, 2, or 3 before you dealt with one? Learn how to deal with a woman first. And then, once you so-called mastered, because there ain't no mastery in dealing with women. There's always going to be something, right? But once you got the wisdom and the gist of it, now you went out and got you whatever you wanted. But at least be found faithful. Remember, it says faithful and able to teach others, right? So you got to be found faithful with the one woman. That when you got upset or when there was a problem, you weren't just going to smack her upside the face and send her on the way. No, you were going to deal with wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. Husbands, dwell with your wives according to knowledge. Right? But you had to at least have one wife to be able to do that. Y'all see that? Read on.
Vigilant.
He had to be what?
Vigilant.
Somebody look that word up. Vigilance. I love this chapter. I love this chapter, man. Yeah, how can a man, like the scriptures say, scriptures say a lot of things, right? You see, I lost a child. That's why when I preach to family, I'm not experienced enough in the truth yet. I had that before the elder I was learning from past a month ago. I'm just reading some of the. Yeah, zeal. That's why David said my zeal had burned up my house. Because that zeal, so they have a zeal, but not according to knowledge. You can be. I was like that when I was young, man. When I first got the truth, y'all heard the story. I was kicking down doors during Christmas. Y'all all wicked. Y'all off. Y'all celebrating pagan holidays. Y'all are all wicked. Y'all going to hell. Christ gonna come back and kill y'all. They were like, nigga, what are you talking about? I was 19. I was, bro. Listen, I was on fire. I was on fire. I was ready to blaze anybody that stood in my path. You talk about walking concordances. Brothers' brains, there was no searching scriptures on no Google. I ain't have that. There was no searching Bible. There was no Bible apps. There was no concordances except for the strongest Strong's concordance, right? Now, we learned the Bible. We weren't searching anything. Like how his brain is, where he can remember. Imagine that 10 times, where it was like, before a brother even spoke it, you had all the precepts with your finger in your Bible, like, ready to go. Got it, Doc. Boom. Got it. Boom, boom, boom. We was, listen, our brains was buzzing in the spirit, but it was that zeal, that uncontrollable zeal that we offended. I offended a gang of people. No delivery. No tact. Right? And even though I was being shown, my zeal was so strong, it's like, man, I don't care about no delivery. You wicked. Everybody was wicked it off if they wasn't trying to hear what the hell I was talking about. No, I don't deal like that. I was back then, you would argue till the sun come up. Now, scriptures say receive every man, but not to doubtful disputations. I ain't arguing. I know what the word says. If you don't get it, then you just don't get it. See, these things you learn through age, experience, but also through watching and being around other men that are experienced. So yeah, that zeal, if it's not tamed, whew, you'll be in there, man, just blazing people up, burning people up with the word. And what it does, a lot of brothers have made the mistake. They try to present the word to their family. They'll burn their whole family up. They'll burn their wife up, right? Burn her up, you'll burn that bridge. Now you just lost your wife, your kids, because you didn't understand how to bring and present the word. Now, like the brother that said, that's why he don't teach his children, his family, because what did he say? He said, where's that? I'm still teaching. I'm trying to teach them the truth. The brother said it. I read it.
He said that's why I don't teach to my family. I'm not experienced enough of the truth yet.
Right. But you still, and if you're not experienced in teaching, you got to learn. But that doesn't mean that you still don't be a good example. You can teach them through your example. You got to be aware. You know, every time you got to be examining yourself and being aware of how am I carrying myself around people. What am I talking about? It's very important. People learn from our examples, not just our words. We went through that in class the other day. Right? So where you at? Vigilant. Read.
Vigilant. Keeping careful watch for possible danger or difficulties.
Why? Because a wise man foreseeth the evil. Flee from sin as if you flee from a serpent. Now, if you're not experienced and understanding, you got to look over a flock, or you got to look over people, or you got to look over your family. If you're not vigilant, then that's where Satan enters. Sometimes you got to be taught. Some women are vigilant naturally, but some aren't. Some people aren't vigilant, and vigilance has to be taught. All these things that we're reading, blamelessness, husband and one wife, vigilant. You read down these characteristics of a bishop, man. These are things that some men are going to come naturally with some of these traits. But they got to be taught some of these things. These are all teachable traits. These are all things that come through experience. That's why a bishop ain't a bishop at 15. That's why a bishop ain't a bishop at 20. Because his experience was going to be lacking. Y'all see that? You weren't an elder at the age of 20 or 25, even 30. I'm not no, listen, even me, I'm almost 40. I ain't no elder. I don't even like calling myself whatever title I got. I'm just the least of the apostles. Right? That's my title, least of the apostles, just like Paul. I don't got no title because the fact is, I don't harp on that. There's still things that I, even as a man that got a little bit of wisdom and knowledge, still have to learn. We all are constantly learning and getting better. It don't matter your age, your title. So I don't harp on, oh, I'm this, such and such. No one knows my rank. Right? No one knows it. I don't promote it. It don't matter. What I'm here to do is offer wisdom and experience according to what I have, according to the Bible. That's it. Go ahead, read on. It says, what for vigilance?
Watchful.
You got to be watchful. So what does that mean? If I'm watchful, a deacon can no longer be what? Or a bishop can no longer be what? It's an S word.
Slothful.
That's one of them.
Selfish.
Selfish. You can no longer be about yourself. A bishop had to be selfless, not selfish. Now I got to watch for other people. Now I got to watch for the people around me. You see that? So he had to be vigilant. What else? What you got?
On the lookout.
On the lookout. For what? He's looking for danger. A wise man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. But not just himself, but he hides all the ones around him. He don't wait for evil to pop up and then deal with it. You nipping things in the bud. You see that, you know, weeds is going to pop up. You put down the paper that blocks the weeds. You don't wait for the weeds to pop up and then you go out there and get the weeds. The weeds is going to start choking out the good plants. So you block the weeds before they even come up. That's a bishop. That's a bishop mind state. See, all these things got to be taught in our people. These ain't things you just read the Bible like, oh yeah, I read that. I'm a bishop. Oh yeah, I read that. I'm vigilant now. No, vigilance got to be taught. Because even the things you're watching for ain't always the right things. We're too busy watching booty, watching breasts move on TV. How about watching your brother's back? Go ahead, read on. What you got?
Observant. Sleeplessly watchful.
Yeah, it's no different than what? Go to 1 Peter 5 and 2. Yeah. 5 and 3. 1 Peter.
You didn't fly?
Go to 1 Peter 5 and 2.
God.
Yep.
1 Peter chapter 5 verse 2. Feed the flock of the Most High.
He said what?
Feed the flock of the Most
See,
High.
this was a bishop's job, to feed the flock of the Most High. No longer selfish, no longer all me. He had to break out of that. Go ahead.
Which is among you.
Come on.
Taking the oversight thereof.
Right.
Not by constraint, but willingly. Not for filthy lucre.
Right.
But of a ready mind.
But of a what?
Ready mind.
See, the mind had to be willing and ready. Read.
Neither as being lords over God's heritage.
So he had to understand that he wasn't some taskmaster bully with the Bible. Oh, I'm a bishop, so you gotta listen to what I'm saying. He wasn't a lord over the Most High's heritage, but what was he?
But being examples.
Being a what?
Examples.
So he was the example of hard work. He was the example of not being slothful in business. He was the example of pushing into the metal, pedal to the metal. He was the example of vigilance. He was the example that if you desire to be a bishop, you desire a good work. He was the example of how to deal with your wife. He was the example that everyone else looked towards. So his stuff had to be on point, man. You couldn't be just some self-named bishop. You got a lot of men that are on that. I'm a bishop because I've been reading the Bible for a long time. Nah, that don't qualify you. Go back to 1 Timothy chapter 3. And this is a good question, man. I like it because it's just a reminder to brothers and sisters. Y'all don't escape. Y'all ain't gonna escape this one. We all had a duty to do, man. When we got this word. Read on.
Sober.
He had to be what?
Sober.
Yeah, his mind had to be clear. A bishop couldn't be 1 minute Book of Enoch, next minute Book of Jubilees, next minute Bible, next minute put down. Oh, we ain't dealing with Enoch. Next minute Book of Mormon. Oh, wait. We gotta get that Enoch again. His mind had to be clear, sober in his doctrine. Go to 2 Timothy 3 and 16. 2 Timothy chapter 3 and verse 14.
2 Timothy chapter 3 verse 14.
Read.
But continue thou in the things which thou hast learned and hast been assured of.
He said to continue in what?
In the things which thou hast learned
and
hast been assured of.
There goes that faithfulness. So now that he became became a bishop, he wasn't just changing things. Like, oh, I'm a bishop now, so guess what? We didn't use Book of Enoch for the last 10 years. We don't use Book of Enoch now because I got some fire scriptures in there. Or Book of Jubilee. I know brothers didn't teach me that, but guess what? I'm gonna bring that out. Book of Jubilees. We need that. No, he was steadfast in what he was taught. See, this was part of him being found faithful. Go ahead.
Come on. Knowing of whom thou hast learned them.
Right. How did he know who he learned them from? Well, because it says your teachers will be no more removed into a corner. He was able to see the manner of man or men that were around and see them wield the word and use the word to effect good change. Watch, read on.
Verse 15. And that from a child thou hast known the holy scriptures.
And what were the scriptures for? Read.
Which are able to make thee wise unto salvation.
Right, but he was able to see that from his teachers. Like, damn, this man is wise. How? Well, he's using the scriptures. Now, a lot of us don't get the Bible from our birth, from a child. Right? We ain't getting it from an actual child, but you were supposed to come in that childlike mind. And you saw, oh wow, the men around me, they're wise. They have the Bible. Think about this, man. Think about how many brothers got the Bible and they still make detrimental mistakes. They know all the same scriptures you know, but they still make detrimental mistakes. Why? Because is it about having the Bible? No. It's about knowing how to use it. It's about knowing how to use and apply the knowledge to bring forth wisdom. Wisdom is the correct application of knowledge. A lot of people ain't wise, they just got the Bible. Having the Bible don't make you automatically wise. You have to correctly apply the wisdom that's in there. So I might encounter somebody. Scripture say a soft answer turn away much wrath. Right? Somebody might come and try to argue with me, and I argue back with them, even though I know the scripture says a soft answer turn away wrath. I know that. That's embedded in my blueprint. Embedded in my DNA. I've been reading that scripture for 20 years. But if I go back and forth and yell with somebody, do I have wisdom on that situation? Lie. Because I didn't correctly apply the knowledge to bring forth the wisdom for me to see, like, oh wow, that's how you become wise unto salvation. Sir.
Question about that. So what's the difference between rebuking when someone's trying to argue?
Rebuke them sharply and a soft answer? Well, first of all, it's two different situations. Now, if I'm in the street and some crazy ass dude rolls up like, nigga, what the hell? I might just step back and say, hey bro, you okay? I ain't gonna be like, nigga, what the hell's your problem? What you coming up to me for? Because all that's gonna do is what? That's gonna fuel his fire. So I might have to step back and say, hey man, you alright? You need anything? Calm him down a little bit. Now rebuking somebody sharply, right? You got some sister on the phone, some woman on the phone that wants to get out of pocket. You got to put her in her place. Why? And how do you do it? I fear not a woman to teach or usurp authority over a man. You got to rebuke her sharp. You can't play games. You got to show her where she's out of line with the Bible, with the Spirit. So there's two different instances where rebuking somebody sharply, or you might do so, because it does say rebuke them sharply so all may fear. Right? So a brother might do something in the middle of everybody in class. And I might say, hey brother, what the hell is your problem? What are you doing? First of all, I got to understand what level of brother I got in front of me. Because I might deal with an officer like that, but I'm not going to deal with a trooper like that. Trooper might get offended. He might get upset. Why do you talk to me like that? But an officer knows. To the meek and to the froward. So I might rebuke him sharply in front of everyone so that everybody knows. Don't do what he's doing. So it's two different instances where those two different scriptures apply. Right? So, yeah, I mean, you get that? Where was I at?
First, 2 Timothy.
2 and 15, read.
Come. In that from a child thou hast known the holy scriptures, which are able to make thee wise unto salvation through faith which is in Christ Jesus.
Right, jump back to Timothy's 3. 1 Timothy's 3. Okay. If y'all got anything,
of good behavior.
Right? He has to be, so it says he has to be sober. Of what?
Of good behavior.
Yeah, or he has to be modest in his behavior.
I got one.
He got to be modest in his behavior. He has to be of good behavior. His standard, his example has to be the upper echelon standard. His behavior can't be one that you can find in the streets. Right? He can't be the one where all the brothers go out and he's the one getting faded and they got to carry him home. No. Or he's the one out there getting into fights when brothers go out. No. He can't be the one showing that example. He got to be of good behavior, not just around brothers. He got to have good behavior in his house. He got to be modest in his speech. He got to know how to deal, how to articulate, how to deal with situations. He got to have balance. Modest, man. Where were you going to go?
Titus chapter 2 and verse 7.
Right?
Titus chapter 2 and verse 7.
Titus chapter 2 verse 7. In all things showing thyself a pattern of good works.
Just like he was going over in the way that you're dealing. You're showing a pattern of good works. You're consistently doing these things so that brothers know that this is how you deal. This is what you do. You deal good. You have good works.
You're following the example of Christ. Abadiah.
I was thinking of the same scripture, but up in verse 2.
Oh, yeah. Well, guess what? We were going to go there too. Yeah, we were going to jump over there. You got to jump over there because, like I said, you women ain't going to escape either. Y'all going to get a war of this. Jump back to Timothy's. In where? In Timothy? In Titus? Yeah, read verse 8 in Titus. It's all good.
God.
Titus 2 and 8.
Yeah. In doctrine of
showing read on. Yeah, read on.
Con. In doctrine showing uncorruptness.
He's showing what?
Uncorruptness.
Yeah, see, that's that sober mind. That's that sober-mindedness. His doctrine is not corrupted. 1 minute, he's trying to bring in the book of Eli, whatever. He got the book of Eli. He got the book of Enoch. He got the books of Harry Potter, right? 1 minute he's doing that. Next minute it's the Bible. Next minute it's the damn Rastafarian Bible. Go ahead.
Gravity, sincerity.
Right. He got to be grave. He got to be down to earth. He got to be serious. He has to know when to be serious. But see, remember, there's a time and place for all things. So how do you learn the time and place for all things? Because you got some men that are too serious all the time. They don't know how to loosen up. And you got some men that just play too damn much. So he got to be taught. The principal things are, this is when you're supposed to be serious. This is when you're supposed to loosen up. Go ahead.
Sound in speech.
So you got to know how to talk, man. The way he says things. The words that he uses. You got to be sound in his speech. Speech got to be seasoned with salt. Everything ain't you dirty Edomites, you filthy Hamites. Everything can't be that. You calling your woman a bitch. You brothers ain't crap. Like, that ain't sound speech. Sound speech is the same as woman shall be counted as a dog. If you want to go that route, that's sound speech because that's biblical. If a man speak, let him speak as the oracles of God. So his speech is coming from the Bible, from the wisdom. That's what makes it sound. That's what makes it where you can't reprove that. You can't come against that. No one can come against what he's saying. Go ahead.
That cannot be condemned.
That cannot, you see that? It can't be condemned. He's blameless. When you cuss me out and call me a bitch, how you going to sit up there and tell brothers to have sound speech? I'm no longer blameless if I'm doing that. Go ahead, read.
That he that is of the contrary part may be ashamed. having no evil thing to say of you.
You see that? That's how he's found blameless. No one's going to have anything evil to say of you. It's just like how we deal, man. We ain't just pulling brothers to the side and cussing, reaming them out. Because they're going to be sitting back like, damn, all this brother do is cuss me out. Right? All this brother does is yell at me. You can't be found blameless in that if that's all you do. Now, again, there's a time, cry loud, spare not. Show my people their transgressions. But then it comes back and says, him that is taken in the fault, restore him in the spirit of meekness. Right? So there's balance that needs to be applied in both. You can't be too much Isaiah 58, but you can't be too much Galatians 5. Or too little of either one. That all comes through experience and dealing and being around. I know I'm dragging this out. It's important though, man. People want to know what their calling is. Your calling is to be able to deal with your brothers and sisters. Not just have the word and use it wrong. Us as Israelites, and I'm talking about on a whole wide scale, we're responsible for some of the damage that's been done to our people recently. Yeah. Because the word has been used the wrong way. The word has been used, and we are accountable for our people. We are the shepherd that's supposed to take the oversight of the flock. That's why he had to say that in 1 Peter, taking the oversight, but not for filthy lucre or constraint. Because you have some out there that weren't taught. They weren't taught that you're not supposed to do this for money or some filthy gain. You weren't supposed to do it forcefully. You were supposed to do this out of a willing mind. You ain't supposed to force your wife to be down with you. She's supposed to be down with Christ willingly. You ain't supposed to force a brother to be down with you. He's supposed to be down for Christ. And if he ain't down with Christ, he ain't going to be down with you. Can two walk together, at least they be in agreement. See, it's all these different ideas that if we don't talk about them and deal with them, they get lost because I got the Bible. They get lost because I got books. They get lost because I know the color of Christ. They get lost because I know that I'm an Israelite. They get lost because I know I'm the chosen. All that zeal, you throw everything else out the door that we need to build one another into the kingdom. All the charity, all the humility, all the long suffering, that gets tossed out the door if you ain't using the word right. Go back to Timothy.
Yeah, what you got? I had to.
Yeah, what you got?
It's just on the point we're making. It's Romans chapter 2, verse 24. Romans chapter 2, verse 24.
Why is this not? It's hating on me.
Romans.
Another brother can give me Leviticus chapter 19, verse 14. So Romans chapter 2, verse 24, and Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 14. Go ahead, Romans 2 and 24.
For the name of God is blasphemed among the Gentiles through you, as it is written.
Like the brother was saying, you know, we cause our brothers and sisters to stumble because of how we deliver the truth, because of our zeal, and how we bring it onto them.
And because of the lack of us being taught how to tame our zeal and bring forth the word. Because zeal, I don't want anybody to think that having zeal is wrong.
Yeah.
It's not wrong, but that's why he said, my people have a zeal of God, but not according to knowledge. Right. Go ahead.
So, you know, like the scripture says, for the name of the Most High is blasphemed through the Gentiles, right? Remember, the Gentiles is speaking of our people. That's in a Gentile state of mind. So when we come at them the wrong way with this word, yeah, it's the truth, but the way we deliver, because it's not seasoned with salt, because it's not, because you didn't let the food, you didn't let your words marinate. So now when you do deliver the word, it's like, this tastes terrible. It's horrible. I don't want this. But that's because you're attacked and how you'll deliver it. And you know, we all go through that phase, especially when we're young, when we first learn the word and our zeal is so high that we're bringing it to everybody. Everybody. We want everybody to get it, but we don't know how to deliver it. We weren't trained on how to deliver the word. So a lot of our people, they get tripped up by the way we come because our people's used to the Christianity and the Catholics and the Jehovah's Witness and come here, my child. They're used to that. They're not used to the Most High as a man of war. So they're not used to how the Most High really operates.
God.
So there's a way that you have to get in.